There is a specific kind of exhaustion that lives in the marrow of your bones. It is not the tiredness of a long day's work. It is the exhaustion of holding a door open for someone who refuses to walk through it. You are here because you are haunted by a connection that defies logic. You have met someone who felt like home and a hurricane all at once. And now you are left standing in the wreckage of that encounter, asking the silent, screaming question: if this was meant to be divine, why does it feel like punishment? You look at your life and you see that you are capable. You are intelligent. You have navigated careers, raised families, survived losses, and done the inner work. Yet, this one thing, this one person, has brought you to your knees. I am not here to sell you a fantasy. I am not here to tell you that if you just wish harder, they will return. You are too wise for fairy tales, and you are too tired for false hope. I am here to offer you a different truth, a harder truth, but a liberating one. What if the difficulty of this path is not a sign that you are doing it wrong? What if the silence, the separation, and the pain are not evidence of your unworthiness, but evidence of your capacity? The universe does not grant these high-voltage connections to the fragile. It does not waste its strongest lightning on a weak conductor. If you are walking this path, it is because your soul has been identified as a fortress. Today, we are going to dismantle the myth of punishment. We are going to look at the psychology of the nervous system and the metaphysics of the soul to understand why the strongest hearts are given the heaviest keys. Breathe. You are not crazy. You are just being initiated. Let us look at this dynamic through the lens of the psyche to understand why you are here. Usually in these high-voltage connections, there are two roles played out on the stage of reality. There is the one who holds the vision, the one who stays, the one who remembers. That is likely you. And then there is the one who retreats, who builds walls, who silences the frequency. Psychology often labels this the anxious avoidant trap. On a surface level, that is true, but you know deep in your intuition that this is deeper than simple attachment styles. This is not just about childhood wounds. This is about energetic capacity. Think of this connection as a massive download of energy. When two souls of this caliber meet, it generates a voltage that the human nervous system is rarely prepared for. You, the one who holds the space, possess a nervous system that has been primed to process this intensity. You process this energy by seeking to understand it, by wanting to merge with it, by attempting to resolve the tension. Your counterpart, the one who ran, acts not out of malice, but out of survival. Imagine pouring boiling water into a glass that has been frozen in ice for decades. The glass does not crack because it is defective. It cracks because the temperature change is too violent. The unawakened counterpart is often a soul carrying immense, unresolved trauma, often generational in nature. They have built their entire identity on control, on suppressing emotion, on keeping the world at arm's length to maintain a fragile sense of safety. Then you walk in. Your love is not just affection. Your love is a light so bright it illuminates the shadows they have spent a lifetime hiding. They do not leave you because you are not enough. They leave because you are too much. You are the mirror that shows them everything they are afraid to face within themselves. This is the first great paradox of this path. The intensity of your connection triggers their nervous system into a state of fight or flight. To them, your love feels like a threat to the survival of their ego. When you step toward them with an open heart, their subconscious mind screams that they are about to be consumed. They retreat to the safety of their numbness because your warmth is terrifying to someone who has adapted to the cold. Now, let us move to the metaphysics of this separation. Why you? Why does the universe assign this specific burden to you? There is a concept in spiritual psychology called the transmutation of karma. Some souls come here to learn simple lessons. They come to enjoy the sunshine, to raise a family, to live a linear life. That is a beautiful, valid path. But that is not your path. You are what the ancients might call an alchemist. The universe assigns these profound, difficult connections to souls who have the capacity to transmute lead into gold. The pain you feel, the longing, the purging of old wounds is not meaningless suffering. This is the burning off of centuries of conditioning. In this dynamic, you're often feeling the collective grief of the feminine or the collective fear of the masculine. You are processing emotions that do not even belong to you personally, but belong to the lineage you were born into. If this path feels heavy, it is because you are carrying a load meant for two, until the other is strong enough to carry their share. This is not a punishment for your past mistakes. It is a testament to your spiritual stamina. You are being asked to master the hardest lesson of all, which is to love without possession. You are learning to hold space without gripping. You are learning to stand in the fire and not be consumed by it. Only a master soul signs a contract for a lesson that steep. The confusion you feel is simply the chaos before the restructuring. Your soul knew that you were strong enough to endure the silence. Your soul knew that you had the capacity to face the rejection of the ego without losing the connection to the heart. You are not being rejected. You are being initiated. This trial is proof of your ability, not your unworthiness. You are clearing the path not just for yourself and not just for your counterpart, but for the elevation of love itself. This is the work of the strongest souls. We must begin by acknowledging the trap you have been living in. For months, or perhaps years, you have existed in the waiting room of your own life. You have been asking the same questions in a loop. You ask when they will wake up. You ask when they will return. You ask what you can do to fix it. This state of constant questioning places you in a position of powerlessness. You have unknowingly become the beggar at the door of their heart, waiting for a scrap of validation to prove that your connection was real. This dynamic drains your power. It leaks your vital life force into a void. It keeps you small. To move from exhaustion to empowerment, we must fundamentally flip the script. We must change the physics of the connection. The first step in this paradigm shift is to understand the nature of energetic pressure. In the realm of emotion and spirit, energy acts like a physical force. When you lean forward in anxiety, you create a wave of pressure. You may feel like you are just loving them, but to the unawakened counterpart, this energy feels like a demand. It feels like a gripping. It triggers their instinct to retreat. It is a universal law that when one person leans forward in fear, the other must lean back in defense. As long as you are chasing, they must run. It is the only way they can maintain their sense of self. To change this, you must adopt the consciousness of the lighthouse. Consider the function of a lighthouse. It stands on the rock, grounded and immovable. It does not run into the ocean to chase the boats. It does not swim out to the drowning sailors to shake them awake. It simply stands. It shines its light. It remains consistent regardless of the weather. If a boat is ready to come to harbor, the light guides it in. If a boat chooses to stay in the storm, the lighthouse does not dim its light in sadness. It does not uproot itself to chase the ship into the dark waters. It knows its purpose is to be a reference point, not a rescuer. You must become this reference point. The unawakened counterpart cannot return to you as long as you are out in the waves trying to save them. Energetically, when you center yourself, you change the magnetic field. When you call your energy back from them and place it into your own heart, you create a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you stop pushing, the resistance disappears. When you stop feeding the dynamic with your anxiety, they are left with their own silence. They are no longer fighting you. They are finally forced to face themselves. This is often the exact moment they feel the shift. The pressure lifts, and in that space, their curiosity can finally return. You must understand that this separation is not an accident. It is a divine strategy. The universe is effectively saying to you that it will delay this union until you realize that you are the destination. This sounds harsh, but it is the cruelest kindness. If you were to unite with them while you still felt half empty, you would drain them. You would use them as a battery to power your own self-worth. The universe loves you too much to let you remain a slave to external validation. So it keeps the door locked. It enforces the distance. It insists that you find the key in your own pocket. This is the great realization. The pain you feel is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. You thought this was a love story about two people. You thought it was a romance. It is not. It is actually a love story between you and your own soul. The counterpart is merely the catalyst. They are the friction required to light your match. They are the intense heat necessary to burn away your illusions of unworthiness. But once you are lit, you do not need the friction anymore. You do not need to worship the match that lit the fire. You simply need to tend to the flame. As long as you believe your happiness lies in their hands, you are giving away your sovereignty. The paradigm shift occurs when you realize that you do not need them to be whole. You want them, yes. You love them, certainly, but you do not require them to breathe. This is the vibration of freedom. This is the energy that is attractive. A person who is complete within themselves is a magnet. A person who is desperate for completion is a repellent. The trial is not about getting the person. The trial is about becoming the person who is strong enough to stand alone. When you can stand in your own light without needing a reflection to prove you exist, the dynamic heals. You stop waiting for the storm to pass, and you become the shelter. This is the path of the master. This is the shift from the anxious heart to the sovereign soul. Philosophy is useless if it does not change the way you wake up tomorrow morning. We can discuss the metaphysics of the soul and the psychology of attachment for hours, but eventually we must move from intellectual concepts to embodied wisdom. It is time to integrate these truths into your daily reality. To move from the exhaustion of the anxious heart to the power of the sovereign soul, we must enact 3 specific internal shifts. These are not merely actions you take. They are new ways of being that you must practice until they become your second nature. The first shift is to neutralize the narrative of the nervous system. You must understand that your body has likely become addicted to the chemistry of distress. Every time you think of your counterpart, your body likely goes into a state of panic or deep, aching longing. This is a physiological response. In those moments, your mind automatically attaches a story to the feeling. You tell yourself that they rejected you. You tell yourself that you are abandoned. You tell yourself that you are not enough. This narrative fuels the panic, creating a feedback loop of suffering. You must intervene at the level of the story. When the wave of pain hits, you must consciously change the script. Talk to your nervous system as if it were a frightened child. Instead of saying they left because you are unworthy, say to yourself that they stepped back because they are overwhelmed. Remind yourself that they are not rejecting you. They are protecting their own fragile ego from a connection they cannot yet handle. Affirm to yourself that you are safe and that you are whole. This practice moves you from the energy of rejection to the energy of compassion. When you view them as a frightened soul rather than a powerful judge of your worth, the pain loses its sharp edge. You stop being the victim of their silence and become the observer of their process. The second shift is to sever the cord of need while keeping the bond of love. There is a profound difference between an etheric bond and an energetic cord of attachment. An etheric bond is a soul connection. It is timeless, invisible, and does not require maintenance. An energetic cord of attachment, however, is toxic. It is a sticky, draining channel through which you leak your power. It is the mechanism of your codependency. You must visualize yourself unplugging this cord from their solar plexus and plugging it back into your own. You must stop feeding them your energy. You must stop checking on them telepathically. You must stop sending them your worry and your longing. Strangely, this is often the exact moment they feel the shift. As long as you are feeding the dynamic with your anxiety, they feel full. They feel your presence constantly, so they have no reason to reach out. But when you cut the cord of need, they are left with a sudden silence. They no longer feel your energetic weight leaning on them. This creates the space for them to miss you. More importantly, it allows you to retain your own vital life force to heal your own wounds. The third and final shift is the vow to self. You must marry yourself first. For too long, you have treated yourself as a placeholder until the real partner arrives. You have put your life on hold, waiting for permission to live fully. This ends today. You must commit to your own expansion with the same ferocity and dedication you once committed to saving them. Write the book you have been dreaming of. Plant the garden. Heal your childhood wounds. Travel to the places that call to your spirit. But here is the catch. You must not do these things as a strategy to attract them back. That is manipulation, and the universe cannot be fooled. You must do these things because you are the only person you are guaranteed to spend the rest of eternity with. You must fall in love with your own life so deeply that their presence would be a wonderful addition, not a necessary completion. Think of your life as a garden. When you focus on cultivating your own garden, when you make it lush and vibrant, the butterflies naturally come. But if you stand there with a net, frantically chasing them across a barren field, the garden dies and the butterflies flee. When you integrate these 3 shifts, you stop waiting, you stop suffering, you begin to live. This is the ultimate integration. It is the realization that the union you have been seeking outside of yourself was always meant to happen within. When you become the source of your own love, safety, and validation, you become invincible. The external world will rearrange itself to match your internal reality. This is the law. Walk in this truth and watch how the shadows retreat before your light. My dears, the path of the deep feeler is not for the faint of heart. You have been given a heavy load because you have strong shoulders. The confusion you feel is simply the chaos before the restructuring. Do not resent the trial. Do not resent the unawakened counterpart for their inability to meet you there. They are playing their role perfectly to push you into your own divinity. You are being forged, you are being polished, and the version of you that will emerge from this fire will be unbreakable. Let go of the timeline, let go of the how. Trust that what is truly yours cannot be missed. And remember, the universe does not make mistakes. If the desire is placed in your heart, the map to its fulfillment is already encoded in your soul. Walk in peace